chord that's a little bit advanced. I usually don't go there, as they say, but it's a chord that I use so much when I play live that I figured I should bring it up. And I'm sure that many of you already know it and already play it, but I figured we'd bring it up anyway and talk about it a little bit. The chord is known as an E7 sharp 9, and this is what it sounds like. To make an E7 sharp 9, you're going to place your middle finger at the 7th fret on the A string, and then you're going to place your index finger at the 6th fret of the D string. Then your ring finger will go at the 7th fret of the G string, and your pinky will be on the 8th fret of the B string. Traditionally, as far as the diagrams are concerned, the low and high E are not a part of this chord, which we'll see that we can actually play with that. But anyway, so it sounds like this. It's often referred to as the Hendrix Chord, which is funny because it's been used in many genres. In blues, in blues, in blues, and in jazz too. Jazz does a lot of 7 sharp 9, pardon me, chords. Especially if you're like me, an old sax player. I'm sure you've heard it a million times in thing with Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, for example. But in the guitar world, it was made quote-unquote famous by Jimi Hendrix. He recorded it or used it in Purple Haze and Foxy Lady, for example. I mean, this is back in what, 1967, so that's 4 years before I was born. But still, it's still there. So it's an interesting chord. Anytime you have that sort of friction, if you will, between the notes, you know, it creates that nice, edgier, bluesier, some would say meaner sounding, mostly because, you know, as opposed to a flat 9, this is a sharp 9. So not to go too much into the theory world, but basically every time you have this kind of a chord, you can definitely go into Dorian mode, and if you really feel like it, you may also get into Mixolydian mode. But it's really a natural for Dorian. So what I would like to show you guys is just some little grooves with it and what to do with it and how to use it in a jamming situation during say a blues jam or during a song. So usually when I use it, well, obviously if I'm playing some Hendrix tunes, but I play mostly acoustic guitar these days, so I don't tend to play a full lot of Hendrix anymore. But let's say, you know, let's go back to our comfort zone of the blues that we've been talking about in previous videos a lot, specifically a 1-4-5 progression in E. So we'll have an E, an A, and a B7, which is our 1-4-5 in E. So the E chord we could substitute with our friend the E7 sharp 9. So for example, if we look at a simple groove in E, so I'm in E right now, then I go to A, back to E, B7, A, E, B7 for the turnaround. Fairly straightforward blues. We've done this a million times together, and I'm sure you've played it a million times on your own. Now if I go back to this position, pardon me, of the E7 sharp 9, it has like almost a funky soul type sound to it. So it's probably, I love the way there's a relationship in my mind anyway between the sound of a chord and the type of groove that it brings to my mind. So for example, if I hear this, I'm going to think of a strumming pattern that's going to be a lot on the funkier side, like. Technically playing an E chord here, so I ought to be able to go right back to the A in the format of a 12-bar blues in E. So here's my E7 sharp 9. Here's an A7. Back to my E E7 sharp 9. My B7, A7, back to E7 sharp 9. So one thing I want to show you closer here is the fact that I have something I've talked about in many videos before, but I'm really a big fan of. So this is the grip we've been talking about here for the chord, the E7 sharp 9. The anchor finger, as I call it, I don't know what it's called by the pros out there, but in this case it's my pinky. And the reason why it's the anchor finger is because it's the only finger that does not change when I go from my E grip to the A grip. So all the strength in my hand is on this finger, that's why it's my anchor. And it allows me to change from one chord to the other effortlessly. By the way, if you're wondering what this A7 is, it's basically if you make an E7, woo, here we go, an E7 shape, okay, here's your grip for an E7. If I bring it up, all the way up to where my middle finger, my Johnny Cash finger, is at the 7th fret, it becomes an A7. If I bring it up 2 more, that's my B7. And back to that E7 sharp 9. Now another thing I like to do with it is take it down 1 semitone. So I strum it 1 semitone down, 1 fret down in other words, and then I slide it up. Then I can make my my change to the E7 we just saw. Back to E7 sharp 9. And I have this low E that I can play with, almost Stevie Ray style. So just an idea, just a jamming idea. If you're tired of playing the same 12-bar blues in E, try to explore your options, as it were, and look for new flavors. And it brings new grooves, it brings new ideas, and it brings a lot of fun in my personal experience. I hope this was helpful for you. I plan on bringing other chords such as this one to your attention and try and tie them up with a groove so that it's directly usable and transferable to actual playing conditions. Hopefully this is of value to you, and please come meet me on ThreeChordGuitar.com. Be well.